Hello YouTube. This is going to be a strange sort of video because it lacks any sort of humility about things, but what it is in response to is over the past few months I've been seeing a term that I created, a label being used by other people, and it's been appropriated, and the meaning has changed a little bit, but I just wanted to say what the meaning originally was, in case people were searching the etymology of this term and they were, just wanting to see where it began, because I believe that I am the creator of the term the Great Debate Community. Now, I did not create that community that I was referring to. I was a Johnny-come-lately to it 5 years after it was already flourishing on YouTube. But I did put a label on it, and I want to explain the origins of the label because I think it's an interesting story. First, I was in 2011, 12, 13, I was very concerned with the flagging that was going on YouTube. I had, previous to that, mirrored other people's videos, but when I had my cherry popped with a DMCA from a company called Pure Paranormal, I was very upset, and I got really into the activism of protecting people's freedom of speech. So I started to track all of these flags, and some I would mirror the video that went down, other people would mirror the video that went down. Some of my favorite YouTubers got flagged into oblivion. Some of them came back, some of them didn't. But after a while I saw patterns in the flagging, and the first way that I used to describe the flags is not very flattering to some YouTubers, but I'm going to just bluntly state it. The first flag pattern that I was tracking, I called Hurricane Felita. And I'm not saying that Felita was the one responsible for all the flagging. What I mean by that is, if a certain YouTuber came into your circle of friends, you could expect to get a lot of flags coming your way. There was a very public falling out between Felita the Geek and a group known as the Alliance of Demons, which she was a member of. And after tracking Hurricane Felita, I found another hurricane, that was Hurricane Ash, and then there was another hurricane that was between Rob Lester and a certain masked individual. And basically, my tracking of these, what I called hurricanes at the time, was lacking. It wasn't just that these people had the flagging surrounding them, they were part of a larger community. And so I started to group these flag storms into different communities, and at the same time, myself and Brian J. 1962 had been in very heated discussions, debates, and making videos against a group of atheists on YouTube who were standing by the notion that all babies are atheists, in order to create a sort of easy layman's way of defending yourself by saying, if you're not a theist, you're an atheist. It's a very simplistic thing. And Brian and I had put a lot of work into the notion that this is a false dichotomy, and that it's just too simplistic to be applied to the real world. So rather than call this group that I circled, in a giant Venn diagram around YouTube atheists and theists and other that were interacting with each other, I decided to call it the Great Debate Community, because there were people that I did not know what their religious orientation was. There were people who didn't care, they just liked the drama. There were, those are apatheists. There were pantheists, there were panentheists, there were pagans, there were Buddhists, there were people who held strictly to the agnostic term, there were ichtheists, there were, let's see, panentheists, I think I said. Anyways, there was a lot of different types of people you could be. You could be a Taoist, you could be a Nez Perce Indian who believes that the raven stole the stars and the wolf created the world. And you could be Four Corners Navajo who talks to the four winds. You don't know all the different possibilities that are out there, but to whittle it down to a dichotomy of just atheists and theists was not to do this group justice, because there were a lot of even conversions between different stages of belief and non-belief, and also fence sitters. And it was the argument that Bionic Dance had that fence sitters were pussies, that they needed to take up arms to be on her side to fight the people that are hurting people. She had a video that was very big back then. You're hurting people. And Brian and I saw the war drums in that video. We saw how that was creating divisions where understanding should have been. So instead of calling it the atheist-theist community, I called it the Great Debate Community. Also, at the same time, I was labeling other communities that right now are even more active in flagging. The gaming community, which that just, it is what it sounds like it is. And also, I created the term the RadFemRA community, because I noticed that the feminists and the male rights activists were interacting in a way that was causing flags. So I just made a portmanteau of the RadFem and MRA and put it together. So yeah, that's the origin of the term the Great Debate Community. It doesn't mean atheists and theists outside of YouTube. It doesn't. Richard Dawkins is not one of them. It was a label that I was using for tracking data, in an attempt to understand flagging mentality and get it to stop. That's all it was. But you can use the term however you want. Language evolves. I get that. I thought it would be interesting for people to know where the label started and what it meant.